Welcome back, scribes. It's Pika Lee, and I'm here today with a Writemas video, my very first. I've got about 2 weeks of things planned for you. This is leading up to Christmas, and I just really wanted to share a few things with you just before we start to end the year. So today I want to start with some short films. I know that I did a video a little while ago about short films and the benefits of them, but now I want to show you a few short films that are very big inspirations for me, and I'll tell you a little bit about each as we go through them today. All of these short films can be found on Vimeo, and I will link you down below. The first one that I want to start out with is my absolute favorite. I can't get enough of it. Like, I reference it for all of my short films. I really absolutely scared the pants off with this one, but this particular short film called Lights Out, you might recognize, was the original short film that was the inspiration for the full film Lights Out. Same name, of course, same writer, and I want to get down to why I love this short film so much and why it's one of those inspirational pieces that you should watch. Now, if you don't like horror films, go ahead and skip this one because this one is quite terrifying. To be honest, I showed it to so many people the first time that I actually came across it. I didn't even know that Lights Out, which I had originally watched, was actually based off of a short film. And when I watched the short film on Vimeo, I mean, totally different films, to be honest. But pretty much the same concept. Now, if you love short films and you absolutely love the sort of jump scare aspect, this film does so well with it. They keep their music to a minimum, their shots are all relevant, and they make you draw your eye towards where they want you to look at. And because of that, it does a great job when it actually brings out the big scare. What I love about this is that it builds up a lot of tension. So there's a lot of suspense that's within this movie, and they do it just so well that if you're looking for a short film that is big on the suspense and waiting for that big scare to then be able to breathe after that, this is the film for you. Trust me, you won't be disappointed if that's what you're looking for. Now, for me, I love short films that are to the point, and this one is definitely to the point. So when you watch this one in particular, I definitely say watch it with the lights on and watch it during the day. When you write it out, this short film actually had 2 locations, even though it was all shot in one place. There was the hallway and the bedroom, and of course the use of props was very minimal, and it was only 2 actors, and that was the main character and the antagonist. So we've got just 2 characters to actually contain and make this a super scary short film for you. Go check it out. Again, I will link you down below. The second short film inspo that I want to talk to you about is called The Sound of Your Voice. This film was so beautifully shot. I can't even begin to describe how beautiful it was. The shots were all meaningful. Every single piece of dialogue had a really great way of interconnecting with this woman's whole journey through her own past in the actual present of a voice booth, and I loved that. And of course, as someone who is learning voiceover at the moment, it's really interesting to see this concept played out in a sort of thrilling way. So this short film, I would say, is a drama thriller because of the way that you have a lot of suspension that was also built into it. It's really great with its tight shots to make you feel uncomfortable and feel like you are choking in the same way that this woman is feeling all these emotions sort of coming up in her and choking her. Of course, there's no actual choking, so don't worry, you don't have to worry about any trigger warnings with that one. But if you do like suspense, I would absolutely recommend this one for its pacing especially. The pacing of it is really great. It's very, very engaging. I mean, when you're moving from one point to the end of the story, you almost don't want the story to end. And what I loved about this piece is that, as I was explaining in my short film video, that when you create a short film, you sort of want to be in a moment with that character, a very significant moment. And this pulls it off really well. It may not have this sort of fulfilling beginning, middle, and end that we're used to, but for a short film, it does exactly what it's supposed to do in bringing you into this moment with this character, a very significant moment for her, and having you follow her through this. And her choices are impacting her internally, which is pretty amazing. So I definitely highly recommend you check that one out. It's a really great watch. I definitely recommend that one to have the lights off and enjoy the low light scenery that sort of draws you into her world. The third short film that I want to recommend to you would be I Love You, I Hate You, which was a really great over-the-pond short film that I found on Vimeo, and it was a really beautifully shot film. I especially recommend it for the storytelling portion where you are experiencing and learning about this protagonist's life and seeing a little bit more about a past that is tormenting her. So for me, it was really beautiful to see how they incorporated, without very much dialogue, this person's past and how that's affecting her. So I highly recommend that right in the beginning you pay close attention to how they open the actual film and then how they proceed with the first act. They bring in so many details that is telling you the story before we even get any words out of their actual characters' engagement with each other. And also, if you're into editing, I Love You, I Hate You has a really beautiful filmatic look to it, as well as its set dressings were really beautifully put together. And you can also tell that there was a lot of care done in post-production when they went ahead and color corrected this because of the tones of the film. Something to really look at also if you're interested in the post-production side of your film being produced. If you're thinking of producing your own film, that's something to actually take into consideration if you like that palette. The last short film that I really enjoyed off of Vimeo was a comedy. I had to throw a comedy in there. It was called Business. Now, Business is a really great sort of, I would say, not your traditional comedy. It's a little bit more, I would say, slapstick or a little bit more absurdist style. And the way that I enjoyed it was by really taking into consideration just the comedic timing. So this is something that if you are into comedic timing and filming a comedy of some sort that's more on the absurdist side, I would definitely take a look at this film because it's got some really great points where the music was used in a really great way to set the tone. The characters were really blowing through some scenes, but to be honest, if you choose the right actors, you can see from this film that the right actors can go very far with comedy if they've got good timing and they've got great facial expressions, which is something you probably don't think that you need when you're doing comedy, but honestly, facial expressions can go a long way if there's not a lot of dialogue in between certain characters when there's a point that's being comedically timed. So that's something that if you enjoy comedy, you're going to see some great content here. And you're also really going to see a lot of great use of nonverbal communication, and you're going to also see some great prop work too. If you look really close at the details, you can see that the certain things that they use and the way that they dress the characters, it's a sort of vintage look to it, but that in itself is somewhat comedic and does help the atmosphere of the comedy. So if you're really looking to find a great inspiration for a comedy that you're going to be producing or a comedy that you're writing, it's great to take a look at a finished product to see a little bit more about how to place items in a scene or how to have one of your characters basically feed off of the other character if someone's doing more of the dialogue portion with the points that they're hitting for comedy. I may have said that a little bit weird, probably because I'm not a comedian, nor am I a comedy writer. I do know comedy writers. I leave the comedy to them. But again, I thought this was a really great example of a film that was done really, really well. I hope that you find these short films an inspiration for your writing to come or for your next production, because these were something that I highly enjoyed, and I definitely think they're worth putting on a list and stashing away for some inspiration a little bit later. Thanks for sticking with me today on this one, and I hope to see you on the next one, scribes. But if you do like suspense, I would absolutely